Good evening, KZFR. How's everyone doing tonight? This is Writing on Air. Writing on Air is made possible by the generous contributions of KZFR supporters and by Knockout Collision Repair, Chico's high-tech auto body shop specializing in complete collision repair and restoration. At Knockout Collision, estimates are always free and can usually be done while you wait, and they even handle all the insurance paperwork. For an appointment or information, call Knockout Collision Repair at 899-9202 or visit knockoutcollisionrepair.com. Well, hello everyone. This is Kevin, your host, and my usual co-host Kylene is not here tonight, but I do have another guest. I'm just kind of picking him up. I think 2 weeks ago was Hannah. She was here. Tonight we have Brandon. How you doing, Brandon?
Hello. Nice to be here.
Nice to be here indeed. He's been on, I don't know, a handful of times I think now.
That's my third appearance, I believe.
Third time. That seems about right. Yeah. And I know you've submitted more than 3 pieces. I'm sure. Maybe
I think 4 or 5.
4 or 5, yeah. So
Somewhere around there.
He's familiar with the show and how it works. But for those of you who are not, this is Writing on Air, and it's a show where we take, I guess, any form of writing, so poetry, short stories, flash fiction, haikus, things that are small enough to fit within a 30-minute time period. Read them. Usually we pair them with some music just to have some background, and then we discuss them afterwards. It's a show that I've often described to people when they ask me as kind of like a picture frame, whereas the show itself, me included and everyone on here, gives kind of a framework, and the people who submit are the picture. So we give them a space to basically show their artwork, I guess, would be the way to put it. And if you like the show or like the format or have questions or comments or concerns or anything, we have a Facebook page, Writing on Air, facebook.com, I guess. And if you want to submit or, again, contact us in any way, you can email me at write.onair@gmail.com. One more time, that is write.onair@gmail.com. All right, so we will get into it. The first piece we have is by A.E. Kellogg. She has submitted many pieces before and is arguably one of the reasons why this show is still going. She has submitted a lot, and we've made use of her style, definitely, because she's very good. So I don't believe she had... Oh, this background piece is a part 1 of 5, I believe. And if I'm wrong, she will correct me, I promise. Of a series of short stories that is going to be submitted to a magazine down in SoCal. She's going to university, or down in LA, I think. I'm not sure which university she's going to. Oh my, if she's listening, she's going to hurt me. Yeah, so we'll get right into it. Perfume by A.E. Kellogg. This is the way the story ends. 2 girls curled up together on a bed under black covers, eyes closed against the dim light, reflecting off painted black walls. Smudges of pink lipstick, kisses glow on a jutted collarbone. The room smells of bubblegum and cigarette smoke. 2 girls, legs stretched out over a threadbare carpet, feet pressed up against cardboard boxes full of secondhand clothes. The house is bare and a little chilly, but the girls lean together and share cell phone pics and gossip about silly classmates and scandalous teachers, and their laughter gives them all the warmth they need. 2 girls, opening and closing dirt-colored lockers in a crowded high school hallway. The metal doors give off a tinny clang when they're shut, and the sound is echoed 100 times down the hallway, clang, 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 as 100 other students get ready for class. And there's never enough quiet time to talk. But the girls talk anyway, shouting over the din about all the homework they didn't do or that movie that was totally lame. There is still a reek in the air of all the cheap perfume that spilled, but it no longer smells of insults and hate. It smells of romantic restaurants and stolen moments and scowls that are just moments from cracking into loving smiles. They won't live happily ever after. They won't be the high school sweethearts who grow up and get married. They haven't fallen into deep, true fairy tale love. There are couples all along the hallway making out in clear defiance of the school's anti-PDA rules. The 2 girls let their hands brush against each other as they dig around, looking for textbooks and spare pens. But they don't stop to kiss each other. Maybe they'll do that at lunch. Maybe they'll do that after school. Maybe they'll just gaze meaningfully into each other's eyes while picking at stale school hamburgers or flipping through flashcards. After all, they've got exams to study for. This is the way the story ends. Two girls in a high school hallway, worried about things. There are worse ways for a story to end. True, they won't be together forever. They'll tire of each other eventually, and one will go to college and one won't, and one will go back to dating boys and the other will probably tease her for it. And maybe they'll stay friends, or maybe they'll drift apart in the end. But for now, Kendra wraps her arm around Jacqueline's waist, and Jacqueline rests her arm on top of Kendra's head because she's just so short, it's just so funny, and Kendra grumbles and stomps with her big old studded boots at the heels of other people's feet. Jacqueline tugs her sweater leaves down to her wrists, and Kendra pops a giant bundle of gum. And before they go into the classroom, Jacqueline gives a quick peck to the top of Kendra's silky cloud of white blonde hair, and Kendra closes her eyes and nudges her forehead against Jacqueline's bony shoulder. And their fingers are twined together, and they are smiling at each other, and there are worse ways for a story to end. That was Perfume by A.E. Kellogg. What'd you think?
It sounds like a high school love story. Any high school love story. Two young people trying to enjoy time with each other. It's not the most romantic story in the world, but it's one that happens every day in every high school around this country. Two people, young, in love, or at least they think they're in love.
Yeah.
And just trying to get through their daily lives. And yeah, they probably won't ever date each other after high school. It's pretty rare for that real high school sweetheart thing to happen. But at the same time, yeah, it's not a bad way for a story to end as long as it ends amicably.
Yeah, amicably is the key word there, I think. I had the high school love once, and so amicably we're joking about because we both know my history, which I won't go into on the show, I promise. Yeah, this is definitely, it feels fresh the way this was written. I really get a lot of really good key descriptions, like while picking at stale school hamburgers or flipping through flashcards. Boy, was that high school in a nutshell.
Yeah, this is one of the more like true to life stories I've ever read about that high school love thing. It's like, it's not over romanticizing. It's like,
yes,
this is what high school love was. It was, hanging out, studying together, an occasional kiss in the hall, spending as much time with each other as possible. It wasn't, driving out to the mountains to stare up at the stars. There aren't a lot of times for those really romantic moments when you're in high school and you're worried about exams and your parents are breathing down your necks about your grades and everything. It's just those little moments that you have together in the library, studying for the next exam, at lunch, picking at those horrible little school lunches.
Yeah. Yep. I love that it's recognized in here that it won't be forever, like you just said. Maybe they'll stay friends, or maybe they'll drift apart in the end. That was one part. One will go back to dating boys, and the other will probably tease her for it. Let me find the other one there. There was a good one. They won't live happily ever after. They won't be in high school, or they won't be the high school sweethearts who grow up and get married. They haven't fallen into deep, true fairy tale love. But it's not said in a sad way. That's the thing about this story. The very end line says, and their fingers are twined together and they are smiling at each other, and there are worse ways for a story to end. Yes, it could be better, but the best part is this is not the worst way it could be. This is actually a first. This is something that is almost like an opening. It leaves open a future. It doesn't solidify that this is going to be the only thing forever. It says, no, this is like a breath. You inhale, and it's going to be an exhale.
Yeah, it's a great little snapshot, and it's also a great little story. Like, things don't end in high school.
Yes.
As much as you think when you're a teenager and you're all hopped up on hormones that everything is now, everything is right now, and tomorrow doesn't matter. No, this is honestly one of the easiest times of your life.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Relax.
Yes. I love that it's so open-ended on that. I have a thing for, a bad thing, I should say, for high school stories that promote high school being the pinnacle of existence. It drives me insane. And so when I was reading this, I was like, oh, please, A.E. Kellogg, don't do that, please. And she missed it. She completely went over that and said, no, there's so much more of this, but look at how amazing this was. And so she combined all of those feelings that I was like, oh, no, don't pull a Zach, and then made them really concise and beautiful in just such a fantastic way. I mean, I can smell my old high school right now just from reading some of this stuff, because it's very relatable. All the things you said, the tinny sound of the clanging in the hallway of all the lockers closing. I can hear all the ones in the old high school that I was at. It's such a well-written piece. Perfume by A. Kellogg.
Yeah, wonderful piece.
Yeah. Well, the next two we have are by another friend of mine. Her name is Hannah, and they're two poems. Let me see actually here real quick. I don't think I had any notes on them. Nope. The first one is called Dreamscape. It's written very small, so I had to point that out to Brandon so he sees it. Yeah, and there's no background, so we'll get right into it. As I drop my cell phone. That's a real nice thing to do on air.
The chatter of her alarm slowly rouses her from her dream-plagued slumber. Her shirt is plastered to her back like a second skin with a cold sweat. Slowly she rubs her clammy hands up and down her face, trying to differentiate where the nightmares end and life begins. She surveys the grayscale world as she makes her way to the mirror. Numbly she raises her eyes, only to find nothing looking back.
That was Dreamscape. I like that one a lot. I feel wistful when I'm reading that. I love the inline. Let's see if I can find that again here. Only to find nothing looking back. It makes it feel, obviously Dreamscape is kind of a big key part of that. Is she actually awake? One of those dreams where you wake up and you're still in the dream, I would say. But also worse, even, I think this is what this is touching on, waking up and you're in reality. So it's either too dark or maybe it still feels like reality, one of the two, and trying to differentiate where the nightmares end and life begins. That's such a key point. There are times where sleep is really the only respite that people get from life. A lot of senses.
Yeah. So there are days where you will have very dark days, and sometimes sleep is a lot better than facing what's actually out there for you.
Yeah. I like that the line that really stuck out to me. Her shirt is plastered to her back like a second skin with a cold sweat. And the way this is written is there's two separate lines. Her shirt is plastered to her back like a second. And then the next line is skin with a cold sweat. So you can read that two ways. Her skin is plastered to her back like a second skin. You could flow right through it. Or you could pause, and it looks like it's intentional right here. And then if the pause is after second, it's two separate meanings. Because her shirt is plastered to her back like a second. I promise I'm getting to a point here, guys. Her shirt is plastered to her back like a second, as in time is taking forever. It's stuck to her. It's not moving. It's immobile. It's not ticking forward. And then the next line is skin with a cold sweat, as in you are sweating. You are just frigid. You're looking at how this delay in time is affecting her. I really admire poems in that sense too, because poems are one of the ones, similar with haikus, that where they end is also really indicative of what the meaning is for the piece. It's just such a beautiful style. Yeah. Slowly she rubs her clammy hands up and down her face, trying to differentiate where the nightmares end and life begins. Man, the way that I pull out from this is just like we said at the beginning. Sometimes people only get a brief, vacation, I guess, from life in their dreams. And this speaks to dreams. Let's see, the chatter of her alarm slowly rouses her from her dream-plagued slumber. That right there is like saying these dreams are not good dreams.
No.
And at that point, and actually we should point that out too, that's a good one. I've always said that certain words carry like an emotion to them. They have like a scene kind of tied to them when we say it. So that word, plagued slumber.
It's plagued.
Plagued. I'm
Not
going to say
plagued.
that wrong. Hey, tomato. Really gives a sense of sadness and maybe death.
Definitely. Plagues are virulent diseases, and it's the kind of thing that's you think you stamp it out, you get rid of it, and it's just back worse and worse than ever before. Which says to me that this is maybe something that's sort of chronic, that's ongoing. Every time she closes her eyes, there's just something wrong.
Yeah. It's just like a mental, I don't want to say illness, but like a mental hang up or like a cycle going on up there. No matter where this person goes, they can't escape it.
Yeah, it's just probably, we've all had those weeks or those months where we're really stressed and we close our eyes and we just dream about what's making us stressed, and it's just this weird cyclical cycle that we go to bed stressed, we wake up more stressed.
Yeah. Oh, man. Thank you, Hannah, for that piece. That is so cool. Well, she has one more, and this one is called, her handwriting is so small, The Antidote. And I don't think I had any notes for that one, too, so we'll jump right into it.
I exhale the smoky tendrils of self-loathing. My head spins in a wonderfully delirious manner. Entrapping me in this temporary world of ecstasy, waves of bliss, carelessness, slowly caress my mind. As I watch the pent-up stress roll out of the open window into the summer air, fading away to nothing more than a distant memory.
That was called The Antidote. Oh, man. I'm so excited about this one. Any initial thoughts from that before I jump in? And
to me, it sounds like someone getting high on weed.
I exhale that. Yeah, okay. Well, I was going to go a different direction, but I think you're also right on that. I exhale the smoky tendrils of self-loathing. Okay, fine.
So, someone that's smoking that doesn't like the fact that they are, but it's one of the only things that will relax them and kind of take away the pains of the day. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, I was going to go with meditation, but I think yours is a little bit more fun to talk about. I exhale the smoky tendrils of self-loathing. I like the themes of breathing, and I think, let me skim this real quickly, waves of blissful carelessness out the open window into the summer air. So breathing, air, and a little bit of nature put in there. To me, I just picture someone sitting in a well-lit room, just kind of letting everything go around them, just taking a deep breath and just looking outside into the summer air and just relaxing completely, which in my mind was like a meditation of sorts.
And I'm the cynic here,
yeah.
Because I'm saying,
hey, cynic
smoky tendrils, my head spins as the high hits me in a wonderfully delirious way, entrapping me in this temporary world of ecstasy. High is always temporary. It's short. Waves of blissful carelessness slowly caress my mind. To me, this is just a good joint.
That could be it. That's true. You know what? I'm gonna go home. Brandon can take the rest of this. He's probably hit the nail on the head here. Yeah. As I glance over it, I like this piece a lot. Either way you take it, if you're smoking, or meditating, as I'm gonna say it is. Also, I should point out too, we always have not arguments, I should say. That's actually the definite wrong word for it. Discussions is the good word for it. That go in totally separate directions, and that's the part that I really, really love about really any type of writing. Sometimes you can be extraordinarily explicit with certain things, and you can really hit the nail on the head, and there is no room for interpretation. What they have on the paper is what is being said. And there are other times like this where it is open to interpretation from the reader. And I've said before, and I like it, each person has a different style of writing. When I write, because I've submitted a few to the show, I like to see how the person who's reading it interprets it. That has always been really fun for me. So I do enjoy these types of, I guess prose would be the word for it, meditations, writing.
These are poetry. Prose is essentially short stories, unfinished stories.
Okay. Oh boy, right on there, I just made a mistake. Brandon, you can take over the show. This is your show now, Brandon. I'm just going to leave the room. You can end it. I have all the stuff queued up. You know what to press. Good to go. Yeah. Man, I just got all my words away, Brandon. Now I'm sad. I exhale the smoky tendrils. I can't read it without thinking of weed now, Brandon. You ruined it.
It's the antidote. It's something you're putting into your body.
Fading away to nothing more than a distant memory. Yeah, I think that really is accurate.
It really sounds like someone that doesn't want to be using weed or some other, like it could even be tobacco.
Some other drug, really.
Yeah, could be tobacco or something else. Something you smoke, obviously, from the smoky tendrils blowing out the window. And, they're getting that head change and they realize that this is a really temporary thing because those smoky tendrils of self-loathing, they do not want to be doing what they're doing. But
yeah,
they're using this as a way to relax, to get away from their current problems, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
To have a little relaxer after a hard day of work or a hard week or something.
Yeah. The key word there is that as I watch the pent-up stress roll out the open window into the summer air, there's just that right at the end. So this there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines. Seven lines in this poem. And the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th line out of the 7 is the stress release line. So to me, I see a very strong buildup of all this stuff entrapping me in this temporary world of ecstasy, all these things that are just locked in. And then afterwards, you get this very heavy release. And it's 2 distinct parts, too. After that, waves of blissful carelessness slowly caress my mind. As I watch the pent-up stress roll out into the summer air, fading away. Those are the next 2 lines right at the end there. So we see this amazing split. And again, I want to say like a breath. There's this inhale of all this stuff, and then this just like letting go right at the end.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to look at poetry too. As I said in her first piece, depending on how you read it, where the stops are, where the periods are, where the punctuation is, it can mean totally different things.
Yeah, poetry does tend to be the more ambiguous form of writing. There's a lot of interpretation that generally needs to be done with poetry. It's not a very literal form of writing usually.
Yeah, it's so. I love poetry. I love short stories. I love flash fiction. This is a plug to get people to submit. So please submit at write.onair@gmail.com. All right, bye everyone. We're leaving now.
No, that is write.onair@gmail.com. Please submit more pieces.
Yes, please. We need so many of these things, and there's so much good writing. Because when I read things like this, I get to kind of get in the person's mind a little bit. Not necessarily the writer, but whoever is the focus of the piece, whatever is being talked about. And I think really all of us want to be understood in some sense. And writing is a form of communication, and it really gets out ideas. And so thank you, Anastasia and Hannah, for submitting these, because I get so excited. I think everyone that's listening to me knows that I start stumbling over my words when I get a little bit too excitable here. Well, anyways, we're nearing, I guess, the end of the show. And usually we like to kind of go back over and look at the pieces again, much to the chagrin of Brandon. He always says I ramble with this sometimes, which I probably do. I think that's also...
I don't mind you going back and summarizing. I think you just ramble a little bit too much when you try and tie everything together.
Fair enough. See, I take critique on the show all the time. And
I live within folks. He gets this from me 24/7. By the way, seriously, submit more pieces.
Yes, please.
Even if they don't get read on the air immediately, I love to read them. Please.
Yes.
More.
Hey, listen, Brandon, we save that for the end. Stop shamelessly plugging right now. Cough, cough. Keep shamelessly plugging. So we had Perfume was the first one, which was kind of about high school love. The second one was Dreamscape, which I feel...
I think both of Hannah's are kind of like you... One is about being this really tensed up, stressed person that just really doesn't have an escape. And that the antidote is finding that final release.
Ah, yes. I like that, yeah. Because you see in the Dreamscape, obviously, there's no way out. There's nothing. Wherever they go, sleeping or awake, there is an issue there. There's something that keeps them trying to differentiate where the nightmares end and life begins. There is something that is stuck. They can't get out of it. And then the next part, I exhale the smoky tendrils of self-loathing. Maybe that, if these two pieces are connected, they're on the same piece of paper, so that's why we're kind of also saying that. I exhale the smoky tendrils of self-loathing. Maybe that is that release that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, be it smoking, meditation, whatever
You're really trying to make this PG.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm not, but we'll see. Either way you take that, there's a release there. And you kind of, here I go, connecting all the pieces again. I like that there is a recognizable buildup in both of them. So one is talking about reality as it is in high school. It's not going to end forever, and there's kind of a release at the end saying, you know what, at least, let's see, how does she say this? And the fingers are twined together, and they are smiling at each other, and there are worse ways for a story to end. But at least it's going to be something positive. There's a kind of not necessarily, well, I would say actually a hope. There's a hope at the end there. This isn't going to be a dark, horrible ending. It's going to be life. There's going to be momentum forward. There's going to be something that comes after this. But this is amazing at the time. And the other two pieces we deal with, obviously, something being pent up, and then a release at the end. And a very positive release. It's not, it doesn't feel like a death in any sense.
No.
It feels just kind of like an exhale, like, oh, thank goodness.
It feels like, that Friday night after work, come home, whatever is your relaxing thing. Some people smoke weed, some people have a beer,
Yeah. Some people smoke weed. I exhale the smoky tendrils of self-loathing. I keep going back to that. I love that line too. There was one more thing I was going to say about these, but now I forgot. Well, A.E. Kellogg's perfume is a 5-part. So I think I'm going to pester her a little bit, if she's listening right now, to submit the other pieces, please, because I might be able to put these in a show together and talk about all of them.
Why aren't they here already?
Yeah. So towards the end too, I want to take a few minutes. First off, to say thank you guys for submitting, because these pieces are absolutely wonderful. I really enjoy reading these, and so thank you, A.E. Kellogg, and thank you, Hannah.
Yes, thank you both of you. I will be the shameless plug for this session. Apparently, submit more, please. I love the show. More. I love listening to the show. I love hearing him make the show. So please submit. write.onair@gmail.com. write.onair@gmail.com. Please submit more today.
I think I need to bring Brandon on here more often. Actually, I'll probably just make a recording of you, Brandon, and then right at the start, I'm just going to press play, and we'll have the background music play. It'll be just your voice. I'll let it go for 5 minutes, and you can say how much you love the show, and then we'll call it like listener commentary or something. It'll be great.
I listen every week. I submit sometimes. You guys need to do some more.
Hey, don't give them a bad idea. It's every 2 weeks, not every week.
Submit more.
So for the full synopsis
flood the inbox.
That would be wonderful, actually. If you do flood the inbox, though, I have a lot of work to do. But it is great work, and I'm willing to do it. So you can submit to us. You can contact me via the email that we've said, via Facebook. And really, this show is pretty open. We've had a lot of writers come on who have written pieces and actually been part of the show, which I think is absolutely wonderful. The one thing we always talk about is interpretation in the show. So we get really explicit pieces, we get really open-ended pieces, we get really anything in the whole spectrum. But it is absolutely amazing. It is a totally different experience to have the person on the show live talking about what they've written about, because you get the perspective that they were in. Sometimes writers write in a mood, or and not necessarily don't denote that as a bad mood, just some sort of feeling that they write in. And you really kind of encompass that. It's almost like caramelized or like solidified in the writing. And so the writer can say, listen, I had just had a loved one die, or I had just bought a puppy, or something like that. And you can really hear that in their voice and hear what they're discussing. You get the full, accurate representation of what they wrote. It's wonderful. So that is an option for anyone who submits to come on to the show. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. You can actually come on here and be part of the show and part of all that stuff. And it would be a blast to have you. So thank you guys all for coming. And this is Writing on Air, so please submit at write.onair@gmail.com. Go ahead and say that one more time there, Brennan.
Write.on.
Oh no, he's
now
ruined
I'm stumbling.
That's it, he can't be here.
Write.onair@gmail.com, please, more
yes.
tomorrow.
This is Writing on Air. Right on Air is made possible by the generous contributions of KZFR supporters and by Harrison Daily Wright Accountancy Corporation in Chico. Harrison Daily Wright provides certified public accountants specializing in accounting and bookkeeping services, auditing, tax prep and planning, management support, services for nonprofit organizations, and more. To reach Harrison Daily Wright, call 895-1209. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a wonderful evening.